ladies and gentlemen, Rick Bergen is about to come on and just absolutely rock your world. We're going to have a lot of fun, definitely, so make sure you stay tuned. And my gosh, the reason why we're doing this 12-hour marathon for you here today is to help you become your greatest possible self. I love supporting people in growing themselves, in stepping up to even bigger challenges, and just really shining their light. So if I can help you shine your light, share your message, really live your purpose even more, let me know how I can do that, because that's what I'm here to do. Whether that's one-on-one coaching, I love helping people with that and getting their message out. If it's launching your podcast, we have masterminds, we do one-on-one coaching for that. Or if it's being a guest on the 12-hour marathon, let's talk. And either way, let's stay connected. I want to grow our relationship, so connect with me on Instagram at IamMillionaireChris, Facebook.com/TH3Burns, and email as well, Chris@BeYourGPS. I care about you, I love you, and I want to see you shine even more. Next up is the iTunes review of the week. And this week, let's see who it's by. It's by Helped Me Shed My Layers. That's the name on iTunes. Chris is inspiring, an inspiring breath of fresh air. This podcast will enlighten and encourage even the thickest skinned of us to shed the tough exterior and dive deeply inward. Man, I love that. I love that review, and I appreciate that. If you want to subscribe to the show, first off, when you're finding value, when you're seeing the gold, and this is helping you on your journey, make sure you stay tuned, because we have incredible guests. It's like every single one, I'm blown away by their story, by their journey, by their expertise and wisdom, and you don't want to miss a single one, because they're so freaking powerful. And it's so diverse, it's so eclectic. You never know what one area of life that you can get insight into and really grow yourself and become the best version of yourself. So I appreciate you tuning in. Go to beyourgps.com/iTunes to find us on the iTunes store, or search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast platform that you listen to your podcasts on, Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self, or you can even just type in Greatest Possible Self. Okay, so I appreciate you doing that, and I'm looking forward to growing even more with you. Next up is Rick's intro. Before I bring him on, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, be ready to take notes, because some of this stuff that you're going to hear is you might not even be able to fully grasp the impact, the depth, the magnitude of it. You know, I had a conversation with Rick the other week, and it was just such a blast. This dude has the biggest freaking heart. He's so present, so loving, gives amazing hugs. You definitely want this guy in your life, in your corner, and you definitely want to stick around in this entire interview, because this stuff is going to be so powerful, and it could be the one thing that really puts your life to the next level. It catapults you to the next level. So be ready for that piece of wisdom, that piece of information. Let's introduce Rick, and then we'll bring him on the screen. Rick Bergen is the CEO and co-founder of the VIBRANZ, dedicated to improving vibrancy, health, and wellness through products devoted to enhanced energetic and vibrational alignment. Rick specializes in the field of zeropoint energetics and EMF protection. For many years, he worked with top scientists from NASA, Arizona State University, and with scientific and clinical specialists in sports medicine, biomechanics, and Herbalphoresis, as well as a PhD and a dean of a top university who specialized in plants and minerals that match and support human body frequencies and specific body parts. His conclusion from these working relationships was that frequency balancing, which we'll get into, was the future of all healing. He brought to this field of energy technologies 29 years of entrepreneurial experience and a proven track record of success, skill, and talent in direct sales and multi-level industries. Rick brought the energy, this unique energy technology found in zeropoint products, to the average consumer who was seeking a way to manage the average challenges and stresses of daily life and address the deeper health issues that can manifest from the big lives that we all lead. With great respect and reverence, Rick listens to the whispers of the universe through science, technology, and intuition to deliver a unique selection of the highest quality transformational products on the planet. And we are so freaking blessed to have Rick here with us today. Rick, are you ready to rock the house, my man?
I am so ready, my friend. I am so ready.
Dude, you are so awesome. I love, love, love what you're doing. And for me, it's a particular fascination because I came from electrical engineering and having this science background and recognizing, hey, I get to be a better leader, a communicator, someone who plays a bigger life. And I love your technology and your products. I'm wearing one right now. Like this thing, you did a demonstration for my girlfriend, and the entire event. You were at the Meant for More event. It's just like what you're doing, what you're creating is out of this world, awesome and epic. So I really appreciate you being here to share with our audience about all that you got going on and what we need to know about frequency balancing, the science, the technology, the spirituality, and how it all comes together, man. I appreciate you.
Okay. Well, I don't know where to start. Like maybe the beginning. How about that?
Yeah. Well, before we go into your journey, man, I want to get people connected with you and who you are, what you stand for, and even before that, I just want to hear your perspective on this topic of the power of words. We like to just start it off with some great energy and wisdom and perspective. What does the power of words mean to you, Rick?
Well, in the beginning, there was word, right? So everything perhaps is generated out of our words. Yeah. Our existence, our experience, the vibration of our words, the underlying appreciation of our words. They're very, very impactful, and actually considerably more impactful than most of us, I believe, realize. They make a big difference. They're a reflection of what we think, and many times a reflection of how we feel, and the association or the underlying connection or disconnection from the consciousness that we are.
Wow. I love it. So it's like words are a great indicator. Words are a great barometer, awareness tool of where is our thinking, where is our energy, what is our consciousness level. If we're talking about how much we're struggling and how difficult life is and things like that, that's an indicator that we're at a certain level of consciousness. Versus if we're saying, hey, how is your day going? It's like, oh my gosh, it's perfect, it's bliss, it's blessed, it's like pure love. Then that's another indicator of how we're thinking and seeing life.
Yeah. When you begin to actually get that your words are reflecting your thoughts, and your thoughts are actually assisting in the creation of your own existence, your own world, the things that you attract moment to moment, that energy, that feeling, you begin to look at it from a little different perspective. You begin to shift a little bit and go, well, wait a minute. If I notice what I'm saying, and then I can actually look at, well, what's beyond that? What's underneath that's speaking, that's occurring? And is this really supporting me in shifting who I am and being more aware of the consciousness that I am? And is this going to change my life in a way that has value for me?
I love it. Rick, this is gold. So I also mentioned in your intro about who you are as a professional and what you've already accomplished. I would love to give you the mic again just to recap anything that I may have missed, or in your own words, what it is that you're working on with VIBRANZ and what you stand for today, man.
Okay. So I don't know that you missed anything in particular. Although what I would say is that so much has been learned. And actually, I want to say more like remembered. We sometimes don't realize that we have access to the all that is and the information and everything that's ever occurred. And as we begin to open up to that possibility, we begin to trust life. We realize that it's always perfect. And it's my belief that every human being does the best they know how to do in any given moment. So, we make choices, and then sometimes we beat ourselves up over the choice. When in fact, if we would begin to look at what's the value in the choice, so I made this choice. And if I think of it from the perspective that I'm always making the best choice for me, given the knowledge I have in this current moment, again, that shifts our perspective, our point of view, to one that's like, oh, okay, there's something here for me. There's something that I've consciously or unconsciously brought forward to learn from.
Yeah.
And it shifts our energy, and it begins to shift our world slowly but surely into a new perspective, a new point of view, and bring new things into our life.
I love this, Rick. This is gold. And I love how you said, like, really it's a shift. It's a shift of the energy. And especially if we view reality as, it's almost like I can't screw it up. I can't screw this up. Every decision, every choice is an opportunity to just learn, is an opportunity for a gift. And how am I showing up? What's the lesson? What's the gift? What's the opportunity in this moment? And if there's not all this stress, like, what if I get it wrong? What if I, what if I choose the wrong business model? What if I choose the wrong partner, spouse? What if I choose the wrong diet? Whatever, right? What if I choose the wrong clothes to wear today? If we stop like being so afraid of doing the wrong thing, then we can just stay in that alignment of trusting, like, man, everything is perfect. Everything is lining up for me to just take the next step, whatever that is. And every next step is like perfect on this journey. I was put here on this journey, on this experience, on this planet to have those next steps. And, Rick, I want to go back into your journey, speaking of journeys, because you've taken a lot of steps, man. I'm sure we're not always this being full of love, or maybe you forgot along the journey, I should say. Remember, you had to remember, right, being this being of love and all these technologies and all these beautiful things that you're bringing to the world through VIBRANZ. So let's go back on the journey, man. Tell us where it really all began for you, that connects the dots to being the CEO of VIBRANZ and bringing this technology to the world.
Well, I'm just, first of all, I want to face the reality that every lifetime is a journey.
Yep.
Right? So it's like, so we've all had perhaps so many lifetimes. And I think that each time we choose to reemerge that into the consciousness, it's about now remembering who we are, and more importantly, what we're up to now. Like, what's next in this moment? Because the past is the past. And actually, I've done a lot of personal development, transformational training, to begin to peel back the onion. Right? Just to begin to work on the ego, and which we're always trying to tame.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Right? And we need the ego. It's not like it's a bad thing, but just noticing, where we're coming from. So in this transformation, in this growth process of discovery, and diving into really. Who am I?
Yeah.
And what am I about? And what am I up to? And many times we need to go somewhere. We need to go do a training class. We need to do something life altering, right? We need to continue to push the envelope, push the box.
Yeah.
How big is our box? How far am I willing to go to really discover what I'm up to? Yeah. To get clarity. So, I've done a lot of that over the last 40 years, and really started in my early 20s on this path. Well, started when I reemerged, but
And I want to pause you real quick. I love this. I want to dive into the 20s, and just to give a picture of what you just said, because like an image popped into my mind. A leader, a speaker in a seminar has a energetic field, a space that can contain that whole room, right? But let's say in the beginning of our journey, we might have a field that is a lot smaller. It's just like trying to protect and care for ourselves. And the bigger that presence and that energetic capacity is to, contain the world even, and all the world's challenges and suffering and pains, the more space that we have, then the more power we have and the ability to create our reality and make a difference. So you have a huge field today because of all that personal development that you've done. But when you were 20, tell us what that was like, Rick.
Well, that was the that was the everyday struggle. The living in those moments of fear and concern. The judgment stuff that goes on previous to really beginning to dive in and realizing who I am and what I'm up to, and just all the stuff we do in our 20s, trying to figure out how the world works.
Yeah.
Right. You get out of school and now you're out on your own, and it's like, okay, now what? And I have a couple of beautiful, incredible daughters in their 20s now, and so they're going through that stuff, right? So I'm getting kind of the firsthand remembrance of those times. And so it was, and even then, I've been an entrepreneur all my life, literally. My first business was in my early 20s. And of course it wasn't about per se changing lives.
Right.
But it was about being an entrepreneur. It was about being free, and knowing and beginning to trust that I can make things happen. I can make things happen. And actually, I'd like to say I learning that I can allow things to happen, that I can bring into existence all that I need. And, over those 20s, and I'm going to say 30s especially, that's when I really came into that realization and trust. And, in my early 30s, that's when I started a family and, a wife and a couple of kids. And now it's like, okay, now you got to deliver.
Yeah.
Now you've taken on this huge responsibility of not just your life, but other people's lives. Who you would really do anything for. And, take care of them. Take care of them in the best way you know how, financially, and lovingly. And, sometimes we judge ourselves for how we did it, right? But as you begin to realize that you always do it the best you know how to do, it's like there's no value in the judgment.
No.
Right? It's like, okay, so you did the best you knew how to do.
Yeah.
And just to kind of zoom forward a little bit, always being an entrepreneur for all these years, and in the late 80s, I actually got into direct sales because I'd already had all these businesses. And with all these businesses, they had all this overhead and all, employees. And I met all these people in this direct sales business that were really doing very well financially without all those things. Right. Without all those headaches,
burdens. If you could start off with the best, power ups or benefits or whatever else it might be to really set yourself on the track to success without all of the traditional stuff like limitations of a brick and mortar business, which is like, standstill and people have to come to you and like that kind of stuff. It's like, what are the possibilities when you can travel and you have something that has a low overhead? It becomes a lot easier to succeed. The odds are more in your favor.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the learning curve is a little less. Right. And the financial investment in many cases, in the direct sales industry, definitely less. A great opportunity for people to kind of get their feet wet as an entrepreneur and find something that they're passionate about. Right. So you find, and that's really what's I think is most important in understanding that, and that I learned is that finding something I'm passionate about and excited about to share with other people, right? So I got into that space, and I did pretty well. And then I became a consultant because after spending a couple of years and a couple $1 million learning what not to do as an owner partner in a company in the early 90s, I couldn't find anything that was passionate about. I couldn't find anything that like, got me up in the morning.
Yeah.
And really got me going and excited. So that's when I became a consultant, because I had all this experience on the entrepreneur side before direct sales. Then I had the direct sales. Then I had the business and the paying a lot of money for an education with a nonprofit organization, which was not the intent, but clearly the result, right? Sometimes people think that it just happens like one day, and usually doesn't. Can, but usually doesn't. So I spent many years as a consultant, and then what happened to me was that as I became more clear, more connected, more remembering who I was and what I was up to, I was led to a company. I was actually led to a couple of doctors in Southern California that needed somebody to set up a direct sales company. And the gentleman that called me said, listen, I've got these doctors and they need somebody to set their company up, and you're a consultant in direct sales, and I thought you'd be perfect. I said, well, what's the product? And I said, well, it's this bag of crystals that balances your energy. And I was like, no, really, what's the product? It's like, no, I don't do some woo-woo, crazy stuff. It's like, if they got a real product, then we have something to talk about. Right. So, because there's a lot of products out there that are like,
yep.
Right. And many of us just buy into them and then find out later. Right. So I could never support that in my heart. It's like, and so anyway, the bottom line was that I went and I met with these doctors, and I saw their technology, and I was just floored, even though I could not understand any of it. It made no sense to me.
Right.
It just, my logical brain was going, this isn't possible. But on the other hand, I'm experiencing it, and I'm seeing friends experience it, and I'm like, okay, I guess I don't know it all.
Right? What a realization.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe there is something that I have something else to learn. Right?
Yeah.
God forbid the ego would go there, but so and these doctors had incredible credentials.
Yeah.
Dr. Ron Jones and Dr. Sari Suka, who dealt with elite athletes, and Dr. Ron Jones, a couple PhDs, and worked with NASA, and he helped create the MRI. Just incredible credentials, and they're showing me this crazy woo-woo stuff, and I'm like, okay, let's see where this leads. And I went to work for them. We had some great success with them, and then over 3 years, I learned all about the technology, and really in that process, a lot of it was a remembering process. There was things that these doctors did with me that I'm going to say, first of all, are not traditional, and were drawn from ancient wisdom, frankly. Some of the things that I learned, and some of the things that they did to open up my remembering of who I am and why I came back to play on the planet one more time.
That's right.
And it was really a great time of discovery. And I really got passionate because I saw these amazing results. And then, of course, there was a disruption in the force. Let's call it that. Due to some factors on, partners that the doctor had chose that were running the company, and we parted ways. So, I was back out there being a consultant, and I just always had this knowing that that technology is going to change the world. Minimum, it's going to change a lot of people's lives. And in the big picture, who knows? Right? It's got great possibility. And so that's how I ended up actually getting into the field, and decided after a couple of years of research with some of our current products, and again seeing, because these doctors taught me how to test these things, and I was amazed when I came across a product that did everything that the previous technology did and some.
Yeah.
And as fate would have it, once again, the gentleman that was selling it had given the business to his son, and his son couldn't get this technology, couldn't get this whole frequency energy thing, and decided he didn't want those products. He was going to keep the nutritional supplements and didn't want the products that I knew were going to make the biggest difference.
All right.
And they were outside the box, but I had that experience to be able to choose. Again, there's nothing like a hands-on experience, and paying the price along the way. It's an awesome thing to do. So next thing I know, okay, I'm starting a company, and that was 12 years ago is when I started the research, and officially 9 years ago started the company.
Wow.
10 years ago. Jeez. Back in 2008.
Wow.
It was
flies.
11 years ago. I can't even count. Wow. Next thing you know, it's like next year, and then it's next year. And so what's really happened is that the more I got involved in this technology, the more I realized that this, not only does this have great physical benefits, but what's most important is that it actually assists us, for instance, in staying connected in the presence of stress. And, we've got this fight or flight. We've got this reptilian mind that so easily goes to fight or flight. And when we're in that condition from life happening, our stress level goes up, our immune function goes down, and we become neurologically disconnected. So we don't make the best choices when we're in that state.
Right.
As you begin to understand that we make it all up, first of all, right? It's like, it's only an interpretation of the event. You have 10 people see the event, and you ask them about it, and you have 10 slightly different events.
Yep.
Right? Slightly different experiences based on their own filters, their own points of view that are ingrained. And then, but they're not getting to the truth of the matter, the bottom line of it all. So you stop judging at this point. You go, okay, you notice that this is my point of view. Another thing that I've learned along the way is that, sometimes we have this, we have a right-wrong situation.
Yep.
Right? So people think if I'm right, then you must be wrong. Right? You have a different point of view. But what if we're all right?
Yeah.
Right? What if it's not a thing of right and wrong? It's a thing of my perceptions in the moment and your perceptions in the moment.
Right.
So again, now as we begin to lift the veil on that, and we begin to realize that it's not about right and wrong, there is no right and wrong, there's my perception and your perception. Now we don't go into the same state in the presence of an experience. So if I can shift my state in the presence of an experience, because I'm no longer becoming disconnected, I'm actually raising my own consciousness unconsciously. And that's what I come to realize is that using this kind of technology actually assists us in raising the awareness of the consciousness that we are. And I just can't think of anything else that I would rather do than assist people in their own discovery of who they are, And at the same time, we have these side effects of pain going away and
Yeah.
emotional stuff that dissipates into the ethers, and wellness as a natural byproduct of us really bringing our body into resonance with our field. And this isn't new stuff. I mean, it just isn't new. If you look at like Tesla said, if you really want to understand the universe, you need to think of energy, frequency, and vibration.
Yep.
Right? It's not new news. And sometimes I call this technology cutting edge ancient technology.
Mm.
Because even beyond that, I mean, Einstein said the future of medicine will be the medicine of frequencies. And now we're beginning to prove this. We're beginning to show this with quantum physics, right? It's all kind of coming together, and the realization that, wait a minute, it's all energy vibrating. And when you get down to that base level of our existence, anything's possible. Yeah. Literally, anything's possible. There is no dis-ease that we can't conquer, because it's just energy. It's just energy vibrating.
Right. So I want to dive into the products and what they do to the energy. Like, how do the products, or in your best way to articulate it, people are at different levels of their own awareness and how to interpret and understand these things. But how do the products actually shift a human being's frequency to get it into alignment, better alignment?
Okay, that's a really, really good question. So, many of us have seen or understand that if you have two tuning forks and you strike one, you hold the other one up, the other one starts vibrating, right? Yeah. So that's called resonance.
Yep.
Right? Yep. So that's resonance. And all of our organs and systems and everything in the body is vibrating at specific frequencies. That's what makes your heart a heart, my heart a heart, kidney a kidney, liver a liver, skin skin. It's the vibration that it's at.
Yeah.
So as long as it's at the resonant frequency, the what I call the human blueprint frequency, and it's supposed to be at, wellness is a natural byproduct. So the products, the real purpose of the products is to bring resonance. They're resonators of information. As we begin to understand that there's information in the field, there's information, the information that makes the liver. It's the vibration that it's at, right? So we eat food for the information. And this is stepping down to looking at everything from this quantum point of view. We begin to look at it from everything is energy. And we go, okay, so why do I eat food? Now, if you ask people, why do we eat food? They go, well, okay, for the energy. But they're thinking of energy like energy.
Right.
Right. But it's not about that.
No,
we eat food for the resonance, the vibration that it's at. Why does a clean diet have you vibrating higher? Because of the vibration of the food you're eating. Okay? So why does it matter what I think? Because your thoughts are a vibration. It's a set of information that you're feeding the field. Now, as we begin to look at that from this quantum space, we understand that the field around the body, many people have aura, right? They've seen the aura. You've been to one of these crazy fairs where they take a picture and it shows all the colors around, and it's like, oh, that's a bunch of hoo-hoo. But right. But it's not. And quantum physics is proving that.
Yeah.
And in fact, another Einstein said the field is the sole governing agency of the particle. What does that mean? The field around the body actually creates the physical body.
Wow.
Now this gets really kind of deep. And then we begin to realize that the field is a reflection of the body, and the body is a reflection of the field. So this is constant exchange of information.
Wow.
And now we actually have the equipment that you can look at the field and see what's going on in the entire physical body based on the field. There was a great physicist, Dr. Korotkov in Russia.
Okay.
And in the early 90s, he took Carillion photography, which is this aura picture, and he digitized it. And they were using it for the Russian Olympic athletes to test their field and see how their field changed based on the food they were eating, based on the supplements they were taking, based on the exercise they were doing. So they could see how different things were changing in their bodies. And then he began to see that there was similarities, where if there was two athletes with the same kidney issue, it would show up in the same place in the field.
Dang.
So he did a study with 6,000 patients at the University of Virginia, and he was able to map the entire body and see exactly which, just like an EKG or EGG, MRI, all those things are measuring energy patterns. So now this is an equipment that measures the entire energy field, the entire body. Now, what's important about that is to understand that Western medicine, we have a tendency to look at people like cars. You got a bad hip? No problem. We just put a new hip in.
At a mechanical level, at a matter level, but they don't take into the factor the energetic field, which is they're both essential to study to know how they are interacting, how we're showing up.
Right. And they're looking at it from strictly a Newtonian point of view.
Yeah.
Like everything is solid. Well, if everything is solid, you're not getting to the heart of the matter.
Wow.
Because the heart of the matter is energy vibrating at specific frequencies. Yeah. So now we're coming into this realization, and this has been said for thousands and thousands of years, and quantum physics is finally catching up and beginning to validate this on a daily basis. So the products, getting back to the products, are about the resonators of information. Okay. And they're about bringing the field and the body into resonance. And if I can bring it into resonance, then the body will begin to heal itself naturally. Wow. So everything that we do is tested in many different ways. So we test it with a piece of equipment called the biophotonic camera, or the GDV. Wow. Right, which shows the field, the same piece of equipment that Korotkov created in Russia. And you can now see in many places here in the US, but in Europe and Asia, they use this equipment all the time. And the problem that Western medicine will have with this, and does have with this, is that, if we have a liver problem, they give us a pill for the liver. Well, if you were to take a picture of somebody and it would show that their liver is out of resonance, it's out of frequency. And now they give you this liver pill. You take the liver pill and you take another picture, and look, your liver's in balance. Oh, but wait, your kidney's out. Oh, don't worry, we have a pill for that. Right? So these are the side effects, because we're looking at it from this Newtonian perspective, right, instead of it's an entire energetic system. And until we get back to that understanding, now once we get back to that, we can begin to combine this Western thinking with what you might call Eastern thinking, ancient thinking, and really begin to solve these things. Really get to the realization that there is no dis-ease that is incurable. There's a difference between incurable and not knowing how to cure it.
Yeah. Not knowing the cause, not knowing where is the energy trapped or stuck or blocked or whatever else it might be, the frequency, the vibration. Where is the vibration out of alignment, incongruent with that? I think you talked about a blueprint as well. Being in alignment with that.
Yeah, the human blueprint frequency. And again, we get back to foods, we get back to our thoughts, we get back to the stuff we breathe every day, the frequency in the air, the energy in the air. Yeah. Right? The chemicals that don't match the body, the EMFs that we're only getting more and more of every day that we can't see, but we know affects us. Yeah. So, the more things we can do to stay in resonance, the healthier we're going to be. And the only difference between, let's just say, a cancer cell and a healthy cell is the vibration it's at.
Mm.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as changing the vibration shifts everything.
Mm.
And that's true with every disease, because all it is, if you begin to look at it as an entire system, right? And everything is constantly in communication. I mean, if you think about the number of cells in the body, billions, and the ability for me to raise my hand and the amount of information.
Nuts.
We don't think about this. The amount of information that's passed for me to just do this, not to mention something, amazing athletically, if you will. I mean, there's a ton of it, and everything is in this constant state of communication. So as soon as I get something out of balance, out of resonance, which means now the frequencies don't match. And just like a radio, right? If we turn on a radio and we're between stations, right? Or we're losing the signal, we can't hear it. We get static, right? And then as soon as we dial it into the frequency, all of a sudden, clarity of communication comes across and I can hear it.
Right.
So the same thing is happening. If the liver is a little out, it's like, okay, what's its ability to communicate with the kidneys and the heart and everything else? Slowly goes down. What also happens in that same instance is that it begins to need more energy, electromagnetic energy, to communicate. So what does it do? Well, it draws it from the place where we have the most. That just happens to be our vertebrae, where we have all this energy flowing up and down constantly.
Yep.
And then people have back problems. And what do we do? Well, we give them a pill for their back or massages, right? Because we're looking at the symptom again, instead of looking at, well, what's really at the core? What's at the base? What's the real problem? Where's the frequency off? So, we begin to go to the core problem and fix those things. And one of the biggest things that we're finding out is that emotion drives our existence.
Yes.
And emotion is probably the most powerful thing we have for creation and destruction, personally and globally. And, when we get into we begin to understand that perhaps all disease is emotionally based. And there's a lot more science that's beginning to show this. So something occurs based on our perception. We judge it as negative. And being human, which is part of the challenge, where we have the field that we draw all our information from, and we constantly pull from, sometimes has a negative connotation with things like death. Now, some cultures, death is celebrated.
Yep.
Right?
It's just a transition.
It's just a transition. We understand it's a transition.
Yeah.
And we celebrate the life. But in our culture, generally speaking, it's totally about me. Now, it's hard to separate that.
Yeah.
Because the pervasive conversation in our existence, in our field, is someone died, I should be sad.
Right.
There's grief. There's loss.
We pick that up because of how conditioned we've been, and the thought patterns and the firing and wiring of our brain to be aligned with, death sucks and I feel like crap, versus, death is a celebration. It's almost like we have to continuously effort to stay in alignment with celebration and that energy until it becomes unconsciously competent and we stop picking up other people's stuff. I don't know if that I think we get to a point where we stop doing that.
Well, really what it takes is for us to rewire. Great statement right there. We got to rewire our thinking.
Yeah.
And really look at so we have this loss. Well, what's the loss? And does it have anything to do with them? Is it about them or is it about me?
Right. Right.
But the bottom line is we get sucked in.
Yep.
You know, it's very hard. You got to be extremely conscious to not get sucked into those kind of events.
Yeah.
And we look out in the world and we see death, we see war, we see all this stuff. And we have a choice. We can look at it from, oh my God, that's so bad. Or we can hold it from, okay, so we're all in this evolutionary process.
Yeah.
And perhaps we're all choosing it to be exactly as it is. Because if we don't hold it there, if we look at them like those poor people, we're actually holding them in a lesser place.
Yep. Yep.
We're taking their power away in that thinking. And it doesn't serve us and it doesn't serve them.
Yeah, and another thing that pops up for me is if we condemn or judge or like take away their power, that also affects us. It's like if that kind of thinking is going on in our mind, then we're wiring our brain to be in disempowerment, to be making things smaller, belittling, versus staying in the infinite possibility, like pure love. Like, oh, you know, they're doing the best that they can. I love how you said that at the beginning. If we simply acknowledge that, you know, society, leaders, the president, whoever, they're doing the best that they can, and it's happening for a reason. This is a indicator. This is contrast. This is so that we can become aware of where we get to heal, of where we get to, you know, really raise our frequency and our vibration. And, you know, a couple things that we could do, Rick, are journaling or reading or meditating. Those are all great things. And I wanted to focus specifically on why these crystals and products that you do and gems and pendants, like you got so much stuff, man. Why is that a different and unique approach than, let's say, the journaling and meditating and reading that people might be accustomed with?
Well, and all that works. And yoga, awesome. I do yoga, qigong. You know, that all works and serves us to begin to control ego mind and begin to look inside. But the truth is, we're lazy.
Yes. Yes. Give me the easy button, Rick.
Exactly. So, and you know, and I'm no different. You know, I do those things, and I know if I can have something that is simple, then I don't have to think about. Right? I don't have to think about this pendant helping me stay connected. Right? I don't have to think about that. I just put it on. You know, we've got some amazing essential oil blend skincare that not only does all the amazing things that the ingredients have in it, but they also have this energetic imprint that it's delivering this additional information over and above. So not only do I look great and anti-age and antibacterial and all these wonderful things on a physical level, but I'm staying connected constantly in the midst of what I call the toxic soup.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? So the toxic soup, we can't get away from. There's nowhere to go. Right? There's literally nowhere to go to get away from the toxic soup. It's just what we've created. And the other thing is acknowledging we've created it.
Wow. Yeah.
We created the toxic soup.
Yep.
We got all the plastics. We got all the rays from the EMFs and the satellites, and we created all of it. That being said, we go back to nature. You see, I say all the answers, all the bad news, what we might consider the bad news, has answers in the good news of the creation called nature. So we look back into nature and go, oh, wait a minute, we can resolve that. We have the tools to resolve that. We remember how to do that. So what did we do? We created a couple products for EMFs. We went back to nature. We said, all right, there's plants that thrive, absolutely thrive on EMFs. Thistle's a great example. They grow huge, right? Under power lines. People, animals don't do so well.
Right.
About a 60, 80% cancer rate. Yeah. But we went back to nature and created a product from nature, added some blueprint frequencies that match the body for wellness. And now the more you use your electronic devices, the healthier you can become.
Yes. Yes.
Because they're not going away, right? We're only going to have more every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we use other things. We use sacred geometry. Again, you go back in time and you see these symbols. And you don't, it's like, okay, it's a square or it's a rectangle, but we don't realize these things have meaning. They have frequency. What makes a square a square? It's the frequency. There's an energy pattern there. You look at ancient languages, the speaking of the language has an energy. The shape has an energy, all of that. And it just gets back to the understanding that we're all connected. Mm-hmm. We all live in the soup. And we all go together. There's been a lot of extinctions on this earth. Mm-hmm. So which way are we going to go this time? We'll be back whichever way we go. But so anyway, what our products are ultimately about, they're initially about, okay, can I help? Can I take my laser and close a wound like I did when I decided to fly off my deck? And I told you about that. Right. It stops blood and you take it across your hips and it'll level your hips out and, takes pain away and stuff like that. And that's on the physical level. And that's awesome. It's what I call fast aid. Right. It's like right now, because when you're dealing in energy, there's no time lapse. It's right now.
Wow. And that's contrary to what people think in terms of wounds and broken bones and stuff like that. I'm sure that it varies depending on what we're dealing with and healing, so to speak. But it's like instant progress, instant recovery versus weeks or months or years.
No, exactly. Because all you're doing is you're changing the energetic imprint. Wow. You're changing the vibration at a base level of our existence. And that everything shifts from there forward. So it starts in the non-physical. Mm-hmm. We like to say the invisible creating the visible. Mm. And you can, and we have all kinds of demonstrations, but more importantly, or as importantly, we have all kinds of science. We have amazing blood tests that show instant change in the microcirculation, just instantly. That's why the healing starts occurring so quickly. Right. And then if you look at this whole thing from if I bang my arm or cut myself, what's going on? Well, at a frequency level, I've changed the frequency. I've changed the vibration. So now the cells aren't communicating. We have a communication breakdown. So you use the technology to actually allow the vibration to correct itself, get into homeostasis, into resonance. And then all of a sudden communication happens and wellness becomes a natural byproduct. It doesn't get any more natural than this. I mean, this is, and for instance, the way it's explained in Newtonian science, what they see, okay, in a cut is that you cut yourself and you bleed, right? And what happens is the mitochondria relax like a hedgehog. Curl up like a hedgehog and stop communicating. And then under the presence of the technology, all of a sudden the mitochondria relax, reconnect immediately, and start producing ADP and ATP, and healing happens right now. Dang. And again, the byproduct on the other side is raising the awareness of the consciousness that we are. Dang. And that's what's going to take us into the next lifetime and take us into a incredible world where people we're connected. Anything I do to you, I'm doing to me.
That's right.
How I hold you is how I affect me. And ultimately, that's what the products are about. And continuing to find products with the energetic imprints that are coming forward. As we as species are ready. And I'm sure I know there's companies in different places around the world that are discovering this and rediscovering it and re-remembering it. Yeah. And we're going to see a lot more of it. And I can't wait, because it really is getting to the point where our awareness is such that we realize who we are
Mm.
as these magnificent beings, and that ultimately we can heal ourselves and everyone else without any tools.
Mm.
But currently, we're still physical.
Yep. Yep. Still, we got to deal with what level that we're at, right? It's like at
Exactly.
a certain point in the future, like we will have these powers within us, and we'll be able to do it ourselves. But until we get to that point, hey, let's use the best tools and things that we have, gifts and abilities. And that's why I love wearing this, because it's like you said, it's easy. I put it on and I don't even have to think about it. It's just
Right.
working on its own. It's keeping me in resonance on its own. And the more things that I can get like that around me in my environment, wearing, carrying it with me, whatever, putting it on my phone and, set it and forget it kind of thing, the better. And I think I just want to make life easier for myself, for you, for everyone who's tuning in on this 12-hour marathon. So I love what you're doing, Rick. It's so awesome, man. It's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm here to serve,
Yes, you
and
are.
the more products I can create that we would normally use in our everyday life, like our oral care products that do amazing stuff in the mouth, and are delivering energy. People start to understand the meridians in the mouth go to all parts of the body.
Yeah.
So an oral care product is going to energize the entire body. At the same time, I'm brushing my teeth every day anyway.
Right?
Right? It's like,
Oh
what can I do that I don't have to change a habit?
Yeah.
Because we hate to change habits, right?
Yep. How can we already do what we're already doing and just set it and forget it? I love it. Rick, this is gold. And I know people are going to want to continue their journey with you. They want to find out more about the products. How can they do that? How can they stay connected? How can they learn more, man?
Well, obviously they can go to our website, and at getvibranz.com, and that's GETVIBRANZ.com / just go to Get Vibrance.
I'll type it in the comments as well, and it'll be on the show notes for the podcast, but getvibranz.com. Yeah.
Okay. And we've got on there's a lot of science. They'll find things like Bruce Lipton, who wrote a couple amazing books about the biology of belief and epigenetics. Nassim Haramein, the scientists who are proving the stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great reading. And I wish I had my list in front of me, because I've got a lot, and I'll get you the list later. But there's a lot of this stuff coming up all over the planet, and we now have access because of the internet, this availability.
Yep.
And our Facebook page at Get Vibrance, Facebook / Get Vibrance is another place. And just, start looking for frequency medicine, energy medicine. Do your own research, because you're going to start to find there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of validation out there. And we're continuing to validate every day. I was just with a thermographer yesterday showing how it changes the energy in the body. And we're doing some DNA tests, and we got the blood test and the GDV. And, we're always about backing up what we say, not only with results, because we have amazing results, but with some science. For those, right brain?
Yep. You gotta have both. Like you gotta have the head and the heart in alignment. And I just love that you bring both of those to the table. And I think that's what makes VIBRANZ so successful, and such a great opportunity for people to get involved in. And I'm sure we'll be sharing even more about how people can do that and learn more. And this is the start of something really, really exciting, Rick. So this is awesome. And I just want to wrap up the conversation with kind of the final takeaways. Give us about 60 seconds of what you want people to remember and really step into because of this interview, man.
Well, first of all, most importantly, remember who you are. Remember, you are an amazing, loving human being that's so blessed, no matter where you are in your life path. Just know that you're here again for a purpose, to make a difference on the planet. And I hope to participate with you at some point. and assist you as you assist me, because I always learn. I'm always in this constant state of learning. And go check out our products. And, we're here. We do presentations. We do information sessions. We have a big conference coming up in October where I have a bunch of people here, and our scientists will be here talking about the technology, and we'd love to see everybody there.
I love it. Rick, you're an amazing human being. I love you, brother, and thank you for being here, and we will see you very, very soon, okay?
You got it. Be well, my friend. Be well.
Awesome. Take care.